Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku, back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the breaking news. Well, it's not really so much breaking news; it's been out for about a day now, but I'm going to talk about it because I didn't get really able to talk about it until now. So if you haven't known, Terminator Dark Fate is coming out this November. And there has been a lot of rumbling, a lot of question marks about this film. A lot of people are worried about it. A lot of people, especially when a couple weeks ago happened where they had special screenings, not many people were very enthused by these screenings that were coming out, these earlier screenings. And there was a lot of rumors going around about the fate of John Connor. Now, we knew that John Connor was going to be in this film in some capacity. They had a kid in this film being CGI'd to look like Eddie Furlong as a kid, because obviously Eddie Furlong is an adult now. And a lot of people were questioning what is going to happen to this character. Well, as of yesterday at San Diego Comic-Con, James Cameron made an announcement. Kind of said it casually, that, like, as in, like, people knew this was coming. But Eddie Furlong, the John Connor from Terminator 2, will be back in some capacity in this film. Now, I think this is good. Eddie Furlong has gotten he's gone through a lot throughout his life, and obviously, he's a lot better now, in better place now. It's definitely a perfect time for him to come back. I'm just really hoping that it's going to be for the right reasons, and it's not going to just be, his character being killed off. Because I've said this before. No, I'm going to say this because obviously with Eddie Furlong coming back, this does confirm that he is not being killed off, at least as a kid. He is not being, because people were saying that he was going to be killed off as a kid. Obviously, if Eddie Furlong is coming back, he's an adult, obviously, now. So, obviously, John Connor is going to be making some type of an appearance in this movie as an adult, not just the CGI John Connor that looks like Eddie Furlong as a kid. So, that tells me John Connor will not be killed off as a kid. This does not necessarily mean that the adult John Connor that will be in this movie, which is Eddie Furlong, will not be killed off, which that has been my biggest concern about this movie. As you all know, John Connor being killed off, I think, is a monumental mistake if that is done, because you pretty much should just end the franchise if he is killed off, because the whole emphasis of the Terminator franchise is literally built around John Connor. And if you kill off John Connor, you are killing off the point of this movie. You're killing the point of the integrity of this franchise, because the franchise is built around John Connor. Like, John Connor saves the Resistance from victory, or gives the Resistance victory from the Terminators. That is the whole emphasis of this. So to kill John Connor off is something that I believe is a huge mistake to this franchise, and that's what I think most Terminator fans are worried about going into this. He's not going to be killed off as a kid. I just hope he's not being killed off as an adult either. But this does not mean he's going to have a big role in this film. I don't think he will. I think he's going to have a small role. My theory about what's going to happen, since we know he's not being killed off as a kid now, Arnold, in a Reddit interview, said that they're not going to be giving away that much hints of the plot, because, they did that in the last movie with Genesis, and obviously not many people were thrilled by it because they gave too much stuff away, and that ultimately kind of hurt the boxes. I do believe. I think Genesis was a good film. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. Genesis was a very good film. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, you know, it was an alternate timeline type thing. So I didn't really have an issue with that film. I actually enjoyed the film, to be quite frank with you. The biggest problem with Genesis, I still say, and I agree with Arnold on this when he said it in the Reddit interview, is they gave too much in the trailers. They gave way too much in the trailers. They gave too much information in the trailers. Like, revealing that this alternate John Connor was a villain because he was reprogrammed by the Terminators to be a villain, you know, for the Terminators. Which, by the way, everyone knows John Connor was killed in that movie. But the thing is that was an alternate timeline John Connor. That wasn't the present day John Connor. The present day John Connor hadn't been born in that movie yet, because obviously Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor hadn't got it on. So John Connor could still have been created at that point. So it was a little different than what we're talking about here with John Connor potentially being killed off. So I do, like I said, I do like the fact that they're not giving as much away, because if you give if you give too much away, it's, you know, people are just not going to be interested if it's not something they want to see. You know, especially this whole, you know, John Connor being killed off thing. Obviously, that's really, you know, not helping the fans right now. You know, because people like me, I've seen a bunch of Terminator videos on this. That's mostly the biggest concern. That's the biggest concern. I'm not worried about this. You know, I don't know. I can't speak on the political agendas of the film, you know, because a lot of people are talking about that. My biggest concern going into this film was simply John Connor, because you can't kill off John Connor. You defeat the entire purpose of the film if you kill off John Connor. The franchise, not the film. The franchise as in general. If you kill John Connor off. So I'm happy Eddie Furlong's going to be in the film. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be doing that much in the film. Obviously, the film is revolving around a lot of the other actors in this. You know, that's what this film is revolving around. And we'll see where it goes from there. A lot of people are saying that this is probably going to be the Terminator's last chance. I don't know if it's going to be necessarily their last chance, but maybe for James Cameron, it might be, because James Cameron pretty much owns the franchise now. But I wouldn't put too much stock on them saying it's the last chance, because they say that every time when a Terminator film doesn't really do that good. But I don't know. I'm a little bit more happy right now that Eddie Furlong, you know, was confirmed, because that does at least confirm that he's not being killed as a kid. It means that John Connor isn't being killed as a kid. But at the same time, I again am still worried, because just because he's not being killed as a kid does not necessarily mean that he won't be killed as an adult, killed off as an adult. So that's the biggest worrisome I have now, is now worrying about if Connor is being killed as an adult. Obviously, a lot of new characters in there. We still don't really know that much about some of the newer characters. You know, what their involvements are. I don't even think Arnold really has said who he is, even though we pretty much know he's a Terminator. I mean, but we don't exactly know what kind of Terminator he is at this point, because they're not really telling us. You know, there's been rumors that maybe he isn't a Terminator after all. Maybe he's the guy, you know, that looks like the T-800s that they, you know, get from, you know, his model log, you know, so he can look like one. You know, that's kind of what they tried to do in T3, which ended up being a deleted scene. They ended up cutting it out altogether. But that's one of the rumors, since we haven't actually seen Arnold as a Terminator in any of these trailers yet. We've seen him, but we haven't seen him actually as a, we haven't seen, the, cuts or something like that, to show that he is in fact Terminator, in this film. Like I said, I don't know what these newer characters exactly, or what they're protecting. Maybe maybe she's like the new character, that the one Terminator that comes back to protect. Maybe she's like John Connor's like wife or something. I was thinking about that. Like maybe she's like John Connor's wife. They kind of had that type of thing with Catherine Brewster, which obviously Catherine Brewster isn't canon anymore because of the the events of T3 doesn't exist anymore, which kind of sucks. I actually did like the Catherine Brewster character. But maybe she's like supposed to be the wife, and maybe she kind of helps John Connor. Like maybe see this film, this Dark Fate film, even though it ignores the events of T3, it ignores the events of Salvation, and it also ignores the events of Genesis. This film feels like it's taking a lot of elements from those movies, even though they're not mentioning those plot lines or those Terminators. Like the one villain Terminator, the way he morphs, it's kind of like a TX, so they're kind of taking a lot of elements from the other Terminator films, even though they don't exist in this timeline. It seems like they're taking a lot of like recycled like stuff from those films, and kind of reusing them for their own like vision of this film. And I feel like there could be a possibility where since John Connor is an adult, Eddie Furlong, obviously an adult, I'm thinking maybe what they're trying to do is maybe the concept of protecting the new character, because that's like one of the plot lines, is that they're this girl Terminator is protecting this other female character. Obviously, maybe the girl character is maybe that's John Connor's like wife, and like she's like one of the generals, and she's just as important to the Resistance winning as John Connor is, like they did with Catherine Brewster in T3. Maybe they're kind of recycling that storyline from T3 and using it in this film for this new character. I'm really curious because like I said, some of the elements in this film, even though they're not acknowledging any other films besides T1 and T2 in terms of a canonized plot line, it seems like they're taking a lot of those elements from other films, from other Terminator films that don't exist anymore, and reusing them in a way that they like, for this film. I wouldn't be surprised if they were doing that, because technically they can, it's still a Terminator film, even though those weren't like really involving them, like James Cameron or anything like that. To reuse some of those ideas that they may have liked but didn't like how they were executed, and then they can like use them in their story, and then they kind of just change it around to the way that they like it. So that's something that I don't think anyone's really mentioned that or has like talked about that as a possibility to why she has the most, she's the focus really in the in the Terminators trying to kill her, because they're trying to kill her because she's just as important as John Connor is, and they can't find John Connor right now, because I'm assuming John Connor is maybe John Connor was lost for a long time, and so because of that they couldn't find John Connor, and then John Connor makes an appearance maybe towards the end as an adult, and hopefully doesn't die. But maybe it's something like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the concept they're trying to go for here. But I don't know. But again, all I gotta say is the news right now. About Eddie Furlong being back as adult John Connor. Very, very good. Very happy to see that. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys got any theories about what this could be? Like I said, hopefully this isn't the end of John Connor, because that would really suck if that would be the end of it. Linda Hamilton's looking good too, so let's keep that going. Linda looking badass as ever. For this film. So, like I say, I'm just gonna mention her because I haven't mentioned her, I think, at all in this video. So, yeah, everyone's coming back. Arnold, Linda, Eddie Furlong. So far we got most of the people back. And let's just hope John Connor walks away out of this movie still alive. That's the biggest concern. That's all I gotta say. Comment, rate, if you like for my videos, please subscribe. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku. I'm out of here. And I'm out of here. Peace. I'll be back.